The hidden power of saying no after 70. Why it's the healthiest word you'll ever use. They say time grants wisdom, but age often demands something even harder: the courage to change how we live. And perhaps one of the greatest lessons, hidden in the later chapters of life, isn't found in the things we embrace, but in what we finally learn to release. For years, maybe decades, you gave so much of yourself. You agreed to help when it wasn't convenient. You smiled and said yes when your heart whispered no. You stayed late, sacrificed weekends, listened without interrupting, and carried burdens that weren't always yours to hold. Somewhere along the way, the idea that saying yes was noble and that selflessness was the highest form of love became so deeply ingrained that it felt like truth. But now, with the weight of those years resting on your shoulders, maybe you've noticed something stirring. A quiet shift, a realization that you no longer have to say yes to everything. That permission isn't something others give you, it's something you grant yourself. You see, there's a hidden power in the word no. Not the sharp, angry kind, not the slam the door, cold shoulder kind, but the soft, steady no that says, I choose to protect my energy. I choose to honor my time. I choose to value the life I have left, not as an act of rebellion, but as an act of deep respect for myself. Learning to say no isn't about turning away from the world. It's about turning toward yourself. It's the beginning of reclaiming space in a life that might have grown too crowded with obligations and unspoken expectations. It's giving yourself the gift of authenticity, of choosing how you spend your days and who you spend them with. And here's the most surprising part. The world doesn't crumble when you say no. People adjust. Some will respect you more. Some will step back, making room for others who truly see you. And you'll find a kind of peace that no one else can give, because you finally gave it to yourself. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being whole. About recognizing that at 70 or 80 or 90, your life is still yours to shape, still yours to protect, still yours to live, fully, fiercely, and on your own terms. So today, let's talk about that quiet, powerful word. The word that has the potential to make these years not just longer, but richer. Let's talk about no, and why it may just be the healthiest word you'll ever use. There's a certain pride in being dependable, in being the one people can count on. The steady hand, the calm voice, the quiet yes. It starts young. Maybe it was a parent who needed your help before you even understood what helping meant. Maybe it was a friend, a boss, a spouse. Over time, the habit of agreeing, of saying yes without hesitation, became stitched into the fabric of your life. And if you're like most, it rarely felt wrong. How could it? Saying yes opened doors. It built careers, relationships, reputations. It made you the good daughter, the reliable son, the committed employee, the loyal partner. It made life move forward, until one day, you realized that so much of that life wasn't chosen. It was accepted. We aren't taught to examine the cost of yes. Not when we're young, not when we're busy building families and careers, and not even as we grow older. But the truth is, every yes is a little promise. A promise of time, of energy, of attention. And like all promises, they add up. At 70, at 80, the cost becomes harder to ignore. You feel it in the tiredness that lingers longer than it used to, in the hesitation before picking up a ringing phone, in the quiet resentment that bubbles up when someone assumes you're free simply because you're retired. They ask, and you say yes. Not because you want to, but because it feels easier than explaining why not. The world doesn't tell you that your yeses come with a weight, but your body knows, your spirit knows. They carry the burden long after the moment has passed. And if no one has ever told you this, let me say it now. It's not wrong to feel worn out by a lifetime of agreeing. It's not selfish to wish you had held something back for yourself. The truth is, we often reach these later years carrying more than just memories. We carry habits that no longer serve us. We carry obligations that should have been released long ago. We carry the invisible heavy history of all the times we said yes when we really wanted, needed, to say no. And here's the thing about weight. It slows you down. It makes the road ahead seem shorter, more exhausting. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if, even now, you could put some of that weight down, not all at once, but gently, kindly, piece by piece? The first piece to set down is the belief that saying no means you're letting people down. You're not. You're standing up for yourself. And that simple shift, that single choice, can change everything about how you move through these years. There's a strange kind of magic in the word no. Not the harsh no that slams doors or raises walls. The kind of no I'm talking about is quieter, more powerful. It's the no that says, I see what you're asking. I understand. But I choose differently. For many of us, saying no feels unnatural. It feels rude, dismissive, maybe even cruel. We were raised on politeness, on sacrifice. We were taught that love means bending, accommodating, stretching ourselves thin if needed. But love, real love, whether for others or for ourselves, requires truth. And sometimes the most honest thing you can offer is a no. Think about it. When you say yes out of guilt or fear, you're not giving freely. You're giving resentfully, or worse, you're giving parts of yourself you can't afford to lose. Over time, those pieces add up, and you wake up wondering where all your energy, your joy, your freedom went. Saying no, on the other hand, is an invitation to real connection. It lets you show up honestly. It lets others see where you end and where they begin. And for those willing to respect that boundary, it builds trust. For those who can't, it reveals a truth you needed to know anyway. No is not a rejection. It's a redirection. It's a way of saying, I love you, but I also love me. It's a reminder that your time is precious, your energy is limited, and your peace is sacred. And here's the beauty of it. Every no you give to something that drains you is a yes you give to something that fills you. Imagine what your days would feel like if they were less crowded with obligations and more open to joy. Imagine mornings that start slow, on your own terms. Afternoons spent reading, walking, painting, laughing. Evenings where the quiet feels like a gift, not a punishment. Saying no makes that possible. It's not about closing yourself off. It's about opening your life to what truly matters. It's about trusting that you are enough, even without all the yeses, even without the constant giving. And while it may feel awkward at first, like wearing a new pair of shoes, it gets easier. With each no, you stand a little taller. You breathe a little deeper. You begin to remember that this life, and this beautiful, imperfect, fleeting life, is still yours. So the next time you feel that familiar tug to say yes out of habit, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this a yes from my heart, or just from my history? If it's not genuine, let yourself choose differently. Let yourself choose you. Because at 70 or 80 or beyond, you've earned the right to be honest. You've earned the right to protect your peace. You've earned the right to say no, kindly, firmly, unapologetically. And with that, you just might find a freedom you didn't know you were missing. There's a quiet revolution that begins the moment you start saying no. It doesn't come with fireworks or grand announcements. It happens slowly, subtly, like the way sunlight shifts through the seasons. One day, you simply notice. You feel lighter. Saying no creates space, not just in your calendar, but in your mind, your heart, your body. And into that space flows everything you thought you didn't have time for, things that nourish you instead of drain you. First, you'll find you have more time for yourself, real time, the kind that isn't spent rushing from one obligation to another. Maybe it's finally picking up the paintbrush you set down decades ago. Maybe it's long walks at sunrise or afternoons spent with a book, not because you should, but because you want to. Maybe it's moments of stillness where you do nothing at all, and for the first time it feels like enough. Then comes a shift in your health. It's almost as if your body breathes a sigh of relief. Less stress means better sleep, stronger immunity, fewer aches born from tension you didn't even realize you were carrying. Your heart, both literal and metaphorical, beats a little easier. You have more energy, not because life is less busy, but because it's filled with things that matter. Your relationships change too. Some may grow quieter, and that's okay. They make room for deeper connections, the kind built on mutual respect rather than silent expectation. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to the people and moments that truly fill your soul. Conversations feel richer. Time with loved ones feels more intentional. You stop performing and start simply being. And perhaps most surprising of all, you begin to trust yourself again. After years and maybe a lifetime of bending and yielding, you rediscover the simple, powerful act of listening inward. You recognize your own needs, your own desires, and for once you honor them without guilt. Living a yes to self life isn't about becoming rigid or isolated. It's about becoming aligned, your choices matching your values, your days, reflecting your heart's true priorities. It's about understanding that your time is sacred, and not everyone or everything deserves a piece of it. And in this alignment, there's a peace you might have thought was out of reach. A deep, satisfying sense that you are exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do, not because the world told you to, but because you chose it, with open eyes and an open heart. It's never too late to live this way. Whether you're 70 or 90 or somewhere in between, the door is still open. And all it takes to walk through it is a simple, powerful word: no. You've spent a lifetime giving time, giving energy, giving love, and all of it was beautiful, necessary, and meaningful. But here, in this season of your life, there is a different kind of giving that matters most: the giving you offer to yourself. Learning to say no is not about closing your heart. It's about opening your life. It's about choosing with intention and grace how you spend the days you have left, not out of obligation, but out of a quiet, steady joy. It's about living in a way that honors both the years behind you and the years still ahead. You are not less kind for setting boundaries. You are not less generous for protecting your peace. You are not less loving for choosing rest, solitude, or simplicity. In fact, you may find that by saying no to what drains you, you have more love, more patience, more presence to give to what truly matters. This isn't just about reclaiming time, it's about reclaiming yourself, your needs, your dreams, your joy. And if there's one truth worth holding on to, it's this: it's never too late to start living differently, to choose with clarity, to speak with honesty, to live with fullness. The hidden power of saying no is not in what you turn away from. It's in what you finally turn toward. A life lighter, freer, truer. A life that feels, perhaps for the first time in a long time, entirely, wonderfully yours. And so, if no one has told you today, you have the right to say no. You have the right to rest. You have the right to protect your heart and your days. You have the right to live the life you choose. And no one, no expectation, no old habit has the power to take that from you. You hold that power in your voice, in your choices, in your no, and all the beautiful yeses it makes possible.